Welcome to the brush. Today is day 6 daily on 19th of May, and what we're going to start with is I need to come in and tidy up the metallics on Illuminor Szeras. So what I'm going to use is some lead belcher, and I'm going to mix a little bit of hopefully Castellax bronze into it, because I want to try and keep it on the bronze tone rather than going straight for a silver. So I'll mix a little bit of this up in the palette for us to use, which does mean using metallics I'm going to have to clean the palette afterwards, and with water just to flush this off. That's fairly close in tone to the colour we're using on the model. Rather than wasting the paint that's on the brush, I'll wet my brush, still pretty moist. Transfer some of the paint off this, saves wasting it. Into the tip of the brush, just to start with. Sorry about that, folks. Hopefully I've edited that out. We just had the camera cut out on us. So I'll start with these pieces from yesterday. I just want to hit them up with a little bit of this, even out the colour that I've got. As I say, it's a pretty good match for what we've put down already. Just trying to unify the colours together. Again, I'm using one of my large makeup brushes, slightly damp, so it's not dry, so we don't get the, hopefully we don't get the chalkiness that you get from what's normally considered the bad side of dry brushing. Likewise, not going to worry about shading the underside, the shoulder pads. This way we're trying to unify the colours together. So we've got some corrections to do, and hopefully this will save us that work. We won't have to actually go in and tidy up properly, because we're going to use this step to try and clear away those mistakes. That's more or less got rid of that. That was the worry. And don't need to worry about those bits there, because that's going to be black and the cartouche is going to be metallic blue, so don't need to worry about those bits. And again, the brush is wet, which is intentional. Just means smoothing out those bits will be easier. Just got to do the tops of the legs. Again, put some more paint back in the brush. Just do the same with the other leg. Try and lift that part out so that I'm not catching it at all. I'm not so worried about this side from this side. That'll do. So now with this guy I'm going to use some straight lead belcher. I'm going to carry on with this brush because there's a little bit of colour still on the tip. I don't mind that tone carrying over. We've still got quite a wet brush. So back to the first parts, and this time I'm literally going to try and catch the bottom edge on these. So I'm just feathering this towards the edge, and then the same on the very tip. Of the armour panel, same on the bottom side. And again, you can see how light my brush stroke is. I'm not actually knocking this piece off of the blue tack that's holding it in place, or at least trying not to. Might have to hold it a little bit more securely to get this back edge. And the same, just the top. So this is where this really comes into its own, because you're leaving the original colour as much as you can, trying to draw to the edges so you get this tonal gradation across the piece. It's the same process I've done with the Zandri Dust on the rest of the Necrons, but, and you can see it here as well, we've got darker at the bottom, lighter at the top, which is just the reverse of what we've done with the rest of the Necrons. So now I just want to try and pick out the tips of the spine, highlight his face a little bit, make that a focal point. So again, I'm going from the middle to the edge for the top of the shoulder pad, and again from the middle to the edge for the edges, leaving that middle bit showing some of that original colour through. That's that one. Same with this one. So that's those bits done. And whilst we've got a contaminated water pot, I'm going to break out some Retributor Gold just to detail the priest's chest plate and the like. Again, I'm not going to use it straight in it from the tub. I'm going to add some water to this, but it should go over quite well over the base colour we've got already. Be a little bit careful going over your shoulder. easier coming around the back. Don't need to get it into the vent, so that's going to be a different colour anyway. Try and keep it in focus for you folks. With a little bit of ink work, that's probably going to be his armour done. Probably going to go over with Skull Crusher brass, but he'll get an ink wash and some Skull Crusher brass, and that should be more or less done. And then just the detailing on it will be required. Yeah, I wasn't going to take his legs any lighter. I think they're light enough. I'm probably going to do an edge highlight on in a bit. Yeah, looking at it, that's going to be next. Just make sure the paint is adequately on there, but not too runny. What we'll do, because the brush is curved, I'm going to use the edge of the brush down that centre line. Not have to worry too much. Again, I'm taking the piece at a 45-degree angle, so I'm trying to get it a corner on a flat line effectively. So I'm running the edge of the brush along that edge. Hopefully I can do this at arm's length and see it a little bit better. So the back of the brush, because of the curve, I don't have to worry about it running so badly. I need a little bit more paint. And it's literally just trying to brighten up the top edges of that. try and make sure I catch the bits that I know will be seen. So just going to do the last leg. Good TV program. Just taking advantage of the inside curve that time. Right, brush is too dry. Last little bit. So I've just re-wetted the brush. Last little bit. So we've got an edge highlight down all the edges of that. So that'll do. And I'll be honest, I need to go and look at the assembly instructions now and see how I start assembling this guy. Because although I've got a few bits to neaten up, there isn't a huge amount left to do before I start assembling him. What I am just going to do on camera though is I'm going to put some Agrax Earthshade over the joints and connectors on the legs. So what I've done on all the other Necrons is I've highlighted the connectors on the limbs. Just to add more of a feature to the model. There's detail in there. I'm going to try and make some use of it. Same ink wash on the legs, regardless of whether or not it's metallic or not. don't have to be as precise with the metallic one, so there's already a lot of the colour in there. I'm just bringing that back to the fore. This also has the effect of making the model look a little more grungy, a little bit more dark. Yeah, there are a few little places I'm going to have to come back and correct the bone, so that's why it's useful to do this now, so I can correct it all at the same time rather than making corrections each step. Just make life more difficult. Really see what I'm doing, I think. So that's that bit. Do the same with the leg. I just realised I may have missed some spots on the other leg in doing this. Do the other side. that's that leg done. Let's see, just check that I haven't, yeah, I have missed them. Missed the details on this side of the legs. That's done now. Here is it. Let's see a line I haven't done. Yeah, they're darkened down now. Let's have a quick look at the top of the torso. Back the shoulder pad. Again, this detail is easier to get done now when he ain't fully assembled. That side, the torso. Slightly easier side now, as it hasn't got that bit of black stone in the way. Like it's just getting the crevices done there. A little bit concerned by this bit on the body, so darken up those bits. Just because of what comes later, I might want some shadow in there. I've got other parts of it that are going to be having a glow effect added, so just want them to be darkened down enough for what we're going to do later. So there's those bits. The only other bit that should be dry now is the priest. And this will just lift the gold up. That's my paintbrush clattering with my magnifier, if people wonder what that sound suddenly was. Starting to think this gold might actually benefit with some Illuminor flesh over the top of it as well. Just add some depth to the gold. Try and do this without getting it on the purple robes that we've already done. So I'm going to have to leave those bits to dry. And we should be back in a bit. And what we'll probably do in a bit is get the priest into position once we've got his boots done. Get him glued down, get that in position. Get the cables on the legs finished before we glue him. And then once he's glued in place, we can then put the base into texture paste on and then actually get the rest of the model assembled. So that's probably where we'll go today with the rest of the daily. Back shortly once that's dry.